So I'm going to talk about something that I did not turn on this camera to talk about. So I'm just sitting here drinking my morning coffee with my morning dog on my lap and actually listening to this playlist on the YouTubes because it's relaxing. So that's what you're hearing in the background. Is my morning playlist. So I was just sitting here trying to break the endless media cycle that I sometimes find myself in. And so I didn't want to sit in like dead silence, but I knew that I just, this morning I was looking for something to watch while I drank my morning coffee, and I'm so upset for no reason. I was looking for something to watch while I was drinking my morning coffee, and I just nothing interested me. I just literally, you've spent too much time on YouTube when you can't find anything to watch. And I've spent the last couple of days pretty much binging YouTube videos and learning a lot, but also feeling like I'm wasting my life binging YouTube videos. So I decided to stop that cycle this morning and just think my thoughts and watch this beautiful footage of the forest floor and listen to this beautiful music. And so I'm thinking my thoughts, and I started thinking these really interesting thoughts about the nature of time and multiple dimensions and the nature of life. And I was thinking these really interesting things to me. I love to think about interesting things. I love ideas. So I was thinking about these interesting ideas, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm having a revelation. This is so cool. And I process my thoughts by talking out loud. And so I was just sitting here in my house talking out loud with my dog on my lap. Freaks him right the fuck out. He's always like, who's the ghost that you're talking to? So I've had this habit of talking out loud to myself for years because I process things by saying them out loud. So I was having these cool thoughts, and I was like, you know what? Why don't you just turn the camera on and tell those, keep doing the thing where you're turning your thoughts, where you're just saying your thoughts out loud, but turn your camera on and record them, and then maybe, who cares what happens after that, but just record them in the moment as you're thinking them, and then that'd be cool. But what happens to me is the minute that I think of sharing something with anybody else, especially the internet, but even just people in my life, as soon as I go to share something with somebody else, I immediately start to look at myself from their point of view. And this is a habit and a tendency that I've had for my whole life. And it's not the worst, because it has given me a lot of self-awareness and a lot of self-hatred. Oh, it's okay, bud. He's worried about me. Stop crying. Stop just crying for no reason. I am crying for no reason. So, oh my God, I wish I wasn't bawling, because I could probably post this if I wasn't crying my face off for no goddamn reason. Also, what happens when I talk out loud, though, is I get emotional. This is something that I have learned about myself that has been so helpful in my marriage and in my relationship with myself, that talking about my feelings is not the answer. Talking about my feelings amplifies my feelings, and it does not help me process them. But talking about ideas helps me process ideas. They're two very different things, you see, my feelings and my ideas. And I love ideas, but sometimes my feelings can be such a lake to swim through. So I thought to myself, I'm going to turn the camera on. I'm going to say these interesting thoughts that I'm having about time and the nature of life and multidimensionality. Multidimensionalism? Multidimensionalism. Yeah, I was like, just turn the camera on and share those interesting thoughts with the internet. Because why the fuck not? It's the internet. Put interesting thoughts there. And then immediately when I turn my camera on to do this, and I'm like, I'm just going to pretend it's not there. I'm just going to like talk like I talk to nobody and freak my dog out. But as soon as I think about putting something into the world, I immediately start to see myself and that something from the perspective of the world, which is awesome because it gives you this, great self-awareness and this crushing self-hatred and this paralyzing self-reflection. Because immediately, like most people, and especially like most people who spend their time on the internet, I have been bullied a lot in my life. And so when I think of putting something online, I immediately think of like people watching it and being like, she really thinks she's onto something here, or like she really just thinking that I'm stupid or thinking that, and like, but why should I care? And that's why I'm crying. I'm not crying because I'm afraid of people thinking that I'm stupid. Like, those are strangers. I'll never meet them. Who fucking cares? I'm upset because, like, I fucking care. And I know that that's just because humans are, like, just wired to be social. And it's just, like, my evolutionary brain not understanding the difference between, like, humans whose opinions I need in order to survive, like humans whose good favor I need for survival, and humans whose good favor doesn't matter at all to the outcome of my survival. Like, my brain can't differentiate the difference because we're such highly social creatures. And so I understand that, like, social stress is so acute for people because we're so social. And it's put me in such a weird place because, human beings are like evolved to crave and require social interfacing, which is why this pandemic has been so hard for people. But going out into the world, opening up yourself, your work, your thoughts, your mind, your heart, it invites criticism, and it invites people to make fun of you. And so I just hide myself away. But it's not better, because I'm lonely and I'm frustrated. And this is not an epiphany. I'm so aware of this, that you have to risk the rejection to have the opportunity for acceptance. Like, you have to. There's no acceptance without the risk of rejection. And there's no rejection without seeking acceptance. I've been working on a video. Actually, it started as like a rumination on time, the nature of time. And then it kind of evolved into more of just like something, how do I even, God. It started out being kind of about time and like a rumination on time and the nature of time and its passing. And then it kind of evolved into something that I was calling inside. And it was just sort of a look at like inside our houses, inside our inner world. Because I think that what I was getting at with the notion of time was like the thesis of that video was that like time is, you know, different for everybody. And the more that I was like writing and scripting for that video, you know, and like spiraling, I always call spiraling the drain when I'm getting close to the idea. And so I was like, as I was circling the drain of the thought I was trying to get at, as I was circling the drain of the point I was trying to get at, I realized that it was really like this commentary on the way that, you know, time passes when you're in your house, when you're in your head, you know, and how, I don't know, like the nature of your inner world, something like that. It sounds stupid, whatever. Anyway, it doesn't sound stupid. It's a great video. If I ever make it, y'all will be lucky to see it. So, I've been working on this video called Inside, and like when I like switched from, you know, I was like really struggling with this whole time concept, and I just started writing all these disconnected thoughts, and like it turned into a couple pages of just disconnected thoughts. And then I came to this inside idea, and I was like, cool, yeah, that's the one. And then like I started writing music for it, which has always been the dream, because why, you know, because why not do it yourself if you can, you know? But the answer is because it's too much work and it's way overwhelming. But I had this song kind of come into my head, and I thought, you know, just editing wise and video flow wise, it would be really great if I could write a couple like lines, if I could put a couple lines to music and then intersperse between like these thoughts that I've written in my journal and this music, you know. And so, and I had like these video clips I was gonna put, and I was like, cool. And I was really like into this project, and like I was having such a good time writing for it, and I was having such a good time writing music for it. And I just bought a microphone so that I can actually record things and have them sound so much better than they do in real life. Y'all are gonna be so fooled. And I was so excited about it. And then as I was starting to like compile it together and turn it into a script, like I started to get scared. And this is a common process for me, like in any video I've ever attempted to make. You know, I've recorded like many, many more videos than I've ever uploaded. I've edited, partially edited, whatever. I think that this is really common, to hit a phase in the creation process where I just like, I don't want to do it anymore and I want to give up on the project. And I often do. Because I think if it's not worth taking, I think to myself, if it's not worth carrying across the finish line, it's not worth putting into the internet. So I was flagging at the finish line as I was starting to put this thing together. But the reason for the doubts this time was that it was getting too personal. And, it was just like more than I wanted to share with the internet. I just had this epiphany while I was talking, that usually when I'm working on a project, like if it's like especially if it's like a hair video or something, usually when I'm working on a project, the reason that I get burnt out by the end of the project is because I start to question its importance. Like, even though, looking back now, for instance, that glitterati video that I did that's done so well, I just rewatched it not that long ago, and I still, I stand by it. I mean, I still cringe at myself, obviously, but, I'm not embarrassed that I put that video into the internet, and I'm not embarrassed that so many people have seen it. So, what am I so afraid of? Even when even I can look back on past work and see that it's fine, that should give me some confidence that, the things that I'm making are fine.
So normally I start to flag because I start to question like the importance of it. Like who needs this video? Who's this, what is the significance of this? And then I get like all like meta, like, and I want to do videos about only nature because what else matters besides connecting to nature and our inner selves, And I think I can't hurt anyone if all I do is show them how beautiful the world is. I can't offend anybody. Nobody would make fun of me for that. But then it gets too personal. So it's like either I feel like I'm creating things that don't need to be made, even if I'm making them because I like them and it's fun. Like those hair videos are fun for me. It's like hanging out in your bathroom with your girlfriends. Get like in junior high and high school, having a friend come over and get ready for the school dance was like a zillion times more fun than actually going to the stupid school dance. And for me, that's kind of what those like in the bathroom videos are. It's just like hanging out with my camera, having a good time. So like I don't dislike making them. It's just in the long editing process, I just start to question like their significance. Like does the world need this? But with this video I'm working on now, it just got too personal and I had to step away. Because there's always, there's just always the possibility that there's always the possibility that people could judge you. Like, what are you going to do? Just like literally live your life inside forever? I tried. This video was a mess. I think I'm going to post it though. And like maybe right away before I get a chance to think about it. Even though I'm drying my tears and blowing my nose with the same sad little piece of toilet paper, and all of this is a mess, and I think I'm just going to post it anyway. I know that there are always going to be people who are going to criticize, and there's always going to be people who don't vibe with what you're doing. Cause you can be everybody's cup of tea. Some like the bitter, some like sweet. Nobody's everybody's favorite, so you might as well just make it how you please. I lost my train of thought. I just had to stop the video and rewatch it to remember what I was saying. The sun has shifted. We don't have our weird curtain patterns on my face anymore. How sad. I'm fine, everybody. I'm such an emotional person. And I think we're all just gonna have to get okay with me crying on the internet, because I can't talk for 10 minutes in a row without crying. It's just getting to be a lot to edit around. One of the interesting thoughts that I was thinking about multidimensionalism, in fact. See, I have this theory that there are as many, this is not groundbreaking, I've mentioned this to people and they're like, yeah, for sure. But I have this theory that, there are as many dimensions as there are people in the world, because every single person's point of view is their own separate dimension. And so in a way, none of us are living in the same dimension. We're all living in slightly adjacent dimensions to one another, but no two people are actually living in the same reality. And that's not even like stoner woo-woo thought. That's just like literally none of us live the same reality. I can only live as me. You can only live as you. This is like the bedrock of that idea. So I was thinking about this notion of multidimensionalism, our new word we discovered made up.
So I was sitting thinking about the nature of this, and then I was thinking about this whole not wanting to put myself out into the world because then people will judge me. And, you know, if there's a question, was there like any kind of like a trigger to this little emotional episode? Like there absolutely was, of course. And was the trigger stupid? For sure. Did it have anything to do with me personally? Definitely not. Why? It doesn't make any sense to be this upset about nothing. No, this is who I am. This is what it's like to be me. Upset about things that don't matter. But they matter to me, clearly. So I was thinking about, you know, the nature of multidimensionalism, and I was thinking about how no two of us are living in the same reality or with the same circumstances, with the same lens through which to look at the world, you know, whatever. And I've been thinking about this like concept of mindset, because I was watching these videos, like I mentioned, I was on a YouTube hole, and, you know, there was this like emerging kind of idea of like, you just have to go out there and do it. And that is so true in life, that you just got to go out there and do it. But things take a mindset, right? Recording a video, you have to, like, there's a mindset to making videos and putting them on the internet, and I haven't figured out what that mindset is. Excuse me. Because there are people who have figured out how to overcome, or maybe not even go down this wild emotional roller coaster. And you could think that maybe the reason that I have such a hard time getting something out there is because maybe it's just not meant for me, and I should just go live a quiet life in the wilderness and stop trying to find people who get me. But doesn't that sound like a bad idea? I should just be lonely? No, I should not just be lonely and isolated just because I'm too emotional and sensitive for this life. Like, I gotta just figure out my way, but I can't be lonesome and lonely. I need to find people who get it. I need to find people who, you know, see the world the way that I do, because it's just, you know, this life's too long and lonesome to not, you know, find your crew. Find your folk. People don't like the word tribe. I feel weird about the word tribe. Yeah, you can't find your folks without risking the rejection. So, I was thinking about this multidimensionalism, and then I got thinking about, there's this, this camera angle is really something else. There's this, like, object lesson, parable. It's like a parable. There's this parable of like a bunch of blind guys all like looking at an elephant. You've probably heard it. They're not, okay. You've probably heard it, but if you haven't, here it is. So you got a bunch of blind people who are being, you know, introduced to an elephant for the first time. This is a parable, it's not real life. So you have a group of people, of blind people, and they're all like checking out this elephant, but they can't see the entire thing. Their only experience of that elephant is what they, you know, are able to, you know, touch and feel. And so the blind person by the trunk is like, oh, an elephant is like a wrinkly snake, and, you know, the guy by the ear is like, oh, an elephant's like a big flap, and an elephant's like a big tree trunk, an elephant's like a big, you know, wrinkly wall. And so every blind person who's working with who's touching the elephant is touching a different part of the elephant, and so they have a different notion of what the elephant is. And so telling somebody that the way that they're living their life is wrong, or telling somebody that their belief system or their opinion or their whatever, telling someone that they you know, should just suck it up or overcome or bootstraps, or they should just be more understanding or more compassionate, any of that, any of the shoulds that we project at other people is like the one blind guy at the trunk of the elephant being like, life's about the trunk of the elephant. Why can't you see that life's about this flexible, wrinkly snake? And then the person at the wall at the side of the elephant is like, I don't even see what you're talking about. Like a snake? I'm at a wall here, buddy, right? And the guy at the ear is like, I'm not finding a snake either. Like, life is like, an elephant is a tarp. So if the elephant is life, we're all, God, I'm yelling, I'm so excited. If the elephant is life, we're all looking at the different body parts in different, like, we're all looking at a different part of the elephant. So with, like, you know, kind of like this with globalism, with how connected we all are, it's so easy to go on the internet and then say, like, you could do this too. You just have to da-da-da, or you shouldn't do this. You just have to da-da-da. But I think that we're all just blind people gathered around an elephant yelling that it's the trunk. And the person by the leg is like, I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't, like, you're not describing my experience of an elephant at all. And this could be a commentary on anything. It could be on mental health. You know, you say, oh, just, you know, whatever. It doesn't, it could be, it's important to realize that when you are looking at somebody and like their thought process, their life, their choices, their actions doesn't make sense to you, it's because they're looking at a different part of the elephant and they have a different impression of what life is about than you do. They literally have a different reality. They're literally living in a different dimension than you are. Their dimension. That was one of the thoughts that I turned on the camera to share. Because I was saying this stuff out loud, literally sitting here in my house, picture it. You're gonna get a dramatic reenactment. It's literally this video. Imagine if I shot this video but didn't have my phone on. That's what I was just doing. But I was just sitting here and like yelling at the spiders in the corner about, you can't just yell at people that it's the trunk of the elephant when they're not looking at the trunk of the elephant. They will not see. That's what I wanted to share. And what I also was thinking was that the only way that you can help people understand the trunk of the elephant, the part of life that you are familiar with, is to take a step back and to try to see what part of the elephant they're dealing with. Because as long as you're just standing there holding the trunk of the elephant being like, wrinkly snake, and the person over by the side of the elephant is like, leathery wall, like those two people cannot, like this could be about politics, this could be about anything. Man, wrinkly snake versus leathery wall, like the battle of the century. But that's like what human misunderstanding is. And if you want people to understand like the wrinkly snake part of life that you're experiencing, I think you need to like feel you're on your way on over to the leather wall and understand like what that's about. Because how can you talk to the leather wall people when you're speaking wrinkly snake language? And I think that if you can see the entire elephant with your eyes open, you're God or you're dead. Should I turn the camera off? Should that be the end of the video? I don't have an ending. This wasn't a video. I just was sitting in my house talking, and then I turned on my camera, and then I started crying. I don't have a point. I don't have an outro or an ending or a finish line or a plan. Should I just post it? See what they think? Delete it if it's bad? But I feel so good when I talk about ideas. Like I'm like, can this be my life? Can I just like turn on my camera and like talk about the cool thoughts I think about and then put them on the internet? Can that just be like a hobby I do? And the answer is yes, of course. But like, people will make fun of you. My little dog here wants my attention. It's also super normal for our brains to remember negative experiences over positive ones. I'm just really between a rock and a hard place because I want to make things and put them on the internet because it's fun. But I get so afraid. And it's not just the internet, it's people. Like I've told very few people in my life that I have a YouTube channel because I mean, if you think I'm scared of being judged by strangers, can you imagine how scared I am of the actual people I know? I was going to end the video 3 minutes ago. I'm still talking. What the hell? I think that that's like a video, you know? I cried, we laughed, we cried, we talked about the universe. And now I'm going to sing a song. Like the bitter, some the sweet. Nobody's everybody's favorite, so you might as well just make it how you please. No, you can't be everybody's cup of tea. You can't be, can be everybody's cup of tea. Some like the bitter, some the sweet. Nobody's everybody's favorite, so you might as well just make it how you please. No, you can't be everybody's cup of tea. Maybe you're working at a hotel bar. Maybe you're still driving your high school car. Maybe you still don't know just who you are. You can't be. You can't be everybody's cup of tea. This is why I can't play music when you're around. But I love you.